I always thought it was weird that Mr. Krabs treated his secret recipe with the utmost secrecy. But there's many times where we get to see the recipe, but it's in gibberish or nonsense, and that's on purpose. And that's because the secret Krabby Patty formula doesn't actually exist, and he only keeps the bottle as a means to keep his Krabby empire on top. This is a story about company secrets, lobbying, and making sure Mr. Krabs never loses his money empire. Until at least SpongeBob dies. This is the fake recipe theory. What is up, Overthinker Club, and welcome to another episode of Animated Cartoon Conspiracy Theory. Oh, the Krabby Patty secret formula. Is it real? Fake? Does it even exist? Well, I'm pretty sure we all watch SpongeBob and wonder what the secret Krabby Patty formula could be. The show even has you at points thinking that you know exactly what the recipe is, but then takes it away and says you don't know it at all. There's even a point where Mr. Krabs tricks us into thinking that plankton is inside of the secret formula recipe. So I did a little digging and found that the secret Krabby Patty formula doesn't actually exist. I know that's hard to believe, but Mr. Krabs has essentially rused us all. And I promise you it's not some silly answer like the secret ingredient is love or the belief in yourself that you could do anything. No. In fact, the secret formula doesn't exist for the sole purpose of locking up whoever tries to recreate the formula. So put on your anchor hat and clock into work because it's time to unravel the mystery of the secret Krabby Patty formula. So when did Mr. Krabs actually create the secret Krabby Patty formula? See, in the episode Friend or Foe, it's actually revealed that Mr. Krabs created the secret Krabby Patty formula with plankton. In fact, the creation of the Krabby Patty itself is what divides them two forever. Because both Mr. Krabs and Plankton were young, dumb, and broke. They had no money to their name. So inspired by one of their idols, they go ahead and try to start their own patty flipping business. But after various attempts, they failed to create a good patty batter. And when they begin fighting each other about it, they accidentally bump in a whole bunch of ingredients that go inside of the patty batter. But Mr. Krabs is the only one left with this part of the recipe. And the other half that Plankton's left with is the only part that says it includes chum. So Mr. Krabs having a successful version of the Krabby Patty formula makes a lot of sense. But what doesn't make sense is the level of secrecy and protection that goes into keeping the Krabby Patty safe. Like if you think about it, not only does Mr. Krabs protect the Krabby Patty recipe, but all of Bikini Bottom is on in protecting it. Kinda makes you wonder if Mr. Krabs has his hand inside of some politicians' pockets. And if you look to the degree of punishment there is for stealing the Krabby Patty formula, you kind of have to look at it sideways. See, Plankton has gone to federal prison many times over this one thing. And that's a big deal because federal prison is one of the highest degrees of prison that you can ever end up in. Like the people who are often sent into federal prison are people who run million-dollar crypto scams, money laundering and embezzlement, and robbery if you were in office. But does Bikini Bottom's love for Krabby Patties actually constitute a jail sentence, let alone a federal prison sentence? And the answer is surprisingly yes. And all we have to do is look at Mr. Krabs' obsession with keeping it a secret. Again, I promise we're actually going somewhere with this. You just gotta stick along for the ride. So if you haven't already, it'd be highly appreciated if you support the channel by hitting that subscribe button. And hitting that like button also helps the channel too. And on behalf of the rest of the Overthinkers, thank you. But why would Mr. Krabs keep everything to this level of secrecy? Let's look at some of the ways how he's kept this secret. For starters, Mr. Krabs keeps the secret Krabby Patty formula hidden inside of a vault behind his own desk. Now then, this is the most prominent spot for him to hide the secret Krabby Patty formula, but he's hidden it in other places as well. For example, he's hidden his secret formula underneath his own mattress. But one of the most important episodes where he hides the formula is by trying to take it away from Plankton by shipping it across the ocean. In the episode The Great Patty Caper, Eugene devises a plan to make sure that Plankton doesn't come after his secret formula anymore, mainly because he's tired of Plankton breaking in and entering all the time. But I want you guys to realize just how involved Bikini Bottom is in this episode, because when he does part ways with the secret formula, it makes national headlines. And the degree of protection and involvement from the federal forces to keep this secret formula safe is extraneous. Just take a look at the degree of protection that is needed to transport this across the ocean. trucks, trains, planes, all just to transport this to a bank that Mr. Krabs was already at in order to catch Plankton in the act. This already proves that Mr. Krabs didn't need to do any of that because he already knew that Plankton was going to be there. So why all the secrecy? Why all the protection? Why would Mr. Krabs need all of Bikini Bottom in on him protecting the secret formula? But it all makes sense when you ask yourself the question, is the Krabby Patty secret formula even real? The truth is that no physical recipe actually exists. That's because he stores it inside of his employees. He's using his employees as digital storage spaces, keeping all of the secrets of the recipe inside of his employee's brain. That's why no matter how many times we see Plankton capture the secret formula and read its contents, it doesn't make sense. It's all gibberish. It doesn't make sense. Even us as the viewer can never see it. It's all jumbled. It's all a mess, even when we can see it clearly. And that's because there is no physical recipe. Mr. Krabs has saved it inside of his employees. But why? Why would Mr. Krabs keep a physical recipe around even if he doesn't need it? And how would it even be possible for him to install the recipe inside of his employees? So first, let's address how Mr. Krabs is retaining a digital copy inside of his own employees. And is a thing like that even possible? In the episode Krabby Road, Plankton is found yet again inside of prison for stealing the Krabby Patty secret formula, and Plankton escapes this prison by pretending to be mustache hair. Sidebar, let's not forget that Plankton is the #1 criminal in this prison. After escaping, Plankton makes his way back home only to be kicked out by Karen, who wants nothing to do with him until he hears SpongeBob singing in the distance. And wouldn't you know it, SpongeBob is singing the actual Krabby Patty recipe, but he's singing it inside of code. Like, what's 3 spoonfuls of awooga? And Plankton gets the idea to create a rock band so SpongeBob could sing the lyrics without any question. And Plankton, with his genius intellect, tries to record SpongeBob singing the lyrics and then decoding it through audio waves. But that plan ends up backfiring. It's in this episode that it definitely shows us that SpongeBob knows the Krabby Patty secret formula by heart. But it's also in this episode where we realize that Mr. Krabs was the one to tell SpongeBob to sing it in code. But this doesn't prove that Mr. Krabs is a mastermind in programming his employees to remember the secret Krabby Patty formula, because this could very well be a coincidence that SpongeBob already knows the secret Krabby Patty formula and loves to sing it, and for the sake of protecting it, just sings it in code so that way nobody knows the real secret. That's when I stumbled on one of the newer episodes of SpongeBob. But in the episode Friendiversary, we do get a clearer answer. See, in that episode, SpongeBob is being quite annoying to Squidward. He keeps finding him and showing him memories that he doesn't really care about. And Squidward gets so fed up with the fact that SpongeBob is following him that he chooses to erase the literal memory of himself outside of SpongeBob's head. And how does he do this? By taking an eraser and literally wiping his brain clean. And then the next day when Squidward goes to the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob doesn't remember him at all. But the more important thing is when Mr. Krabs finds out about this. He literally snatches Squidward out of work to pull him aside into his office and tells Squidward that this is actually terrible news. And that's because SpongeBob is the only person that knows the code to the safe for the secret formula. And you want to know how SpongeBob does this? By attaching the code to the safe to a memory of Squidward. And that could be normal. Remember, never eat soggy wheat? That's an anagram to help you remember another memory. But the thing is that Mr. Krabs is the one that knows this. Mr. Krabs is the one who taught SpongeBob how to retain that memory. And you want to know what else? Right after saying this, Mr. Krabs then goes on to say that this was the only way to keep Plankton from scanning Mr. Krabs' mind and stealing the secret recipe. This not only proves that Mr. Krabs doesn't know the secret recipe by heart, but he's implanted the memory inside of his employees. He's using them as memory banks. Okay, so now what? If the physical Krabby Patty formula is fake and he stores all of the real information inside of his employees through code so that way they can't be tracked by Plankton, then why keep a physical one at all? Like, legit, think about it. Mr. Krabs could very well keep the safe empty. And if at this point Mr. Krabs has wiped the full memory away and given it to SpongeBob, he could just lie to Plankton and keep him coming after him instead. But remember, Mr. Krabs is overly protective of the physical recipe, even though the physical recipe has been a decoy the entire time. Like, why go through a grand gesture of having police escort the secret formula onto a truck, a train, a plane, and more just to protect it when nobody can even touch it in the first place? In order to understand this, we have to understand why any other company would be protective of their secret recipe. And it's partially because you legally cannot protect a recipe. Well, kinda. See, naturally people would assume that you can copyright your recipe so that nobody can take it. But the truth is that you can't copyright a recipe. Now, copyright law allows you to protect bodies of work, usually a story or some type of musical composition. But this does not include recipes, for the simple fact that there's too little of a body for a recipe. And if you think about what makes a recipe, it's just a list of ingredients and how to cook them. But that's not necessarily a body of work. A body of work defined by the US Copyright Office has to be a substantial literary expression. This is also the same reason why dances by themselves are not copyrightable. And this is why whenever you go online to look up a recipe or something, it's usually accompanied by a whole blog post about somebody's grandmother and how they used to cook it for them when they were little. And although you didn't ask and you have to scroll past all the ads and fluff, there you will find the recipe. And this form of the recipe is deemed copyrightable by the US Copyright Office. And that's because this simple list of instructions is now accompanied by a substantial body of work and can be copyrighted. And this idea also works too for dances. And this is how musicals actually help protect their dance routines. This includes Swan Lake, Hamilton, and any other musical that you can think that is performed on Broadway. But the Krabby Patty secret formula is just a list. It can't be protected by copyright. So how else could Mr. Krabs protect his recipe? Well, he will have to declare the Krabby Patty secret formula as a trade secret. Now, a trade secret defined by law can be technical, economic, or a technique, process, or procedure that is important to your form of business. Also, the only way to declare it as a trade secret is if the owner has taken reasonable measures to protect such information, and if the information derives economic value or potential not readily ascertainable by other means. That's all fancy speak for if I know how to create this thing and nobody else has figured out the process, then I should be able to keep that as a secret. But the next question is as to what lengths do you have to try to keep your recipe a secret? According to the NewYorkBar.org, you have to keep agreements like non-disclosure and confidentiality, or enforce policies and procedures between the owners, the employees, and other people that may have access to that recipe. And you have to continually, almost always, up the game in trying to protect your trade secret. Like some famous companies that we know that take these steps to ensure the secrecy is like KFC and their 11 herbs and spices, or McDonald's and their special sauce. They've been keeping these recipes under high security for the longest time. Now, it all makes sense for Mr. Krabs as well. Mr. Krabs treats the secret Krabby Patty formula as a trade secret. He's got the security detail to protect the formula whenever it's in transit. He also has employee policies in check to make sure he punishes anybody who accidentally slips out the recipe. He even has a confidentiality agreement written on every single one of the patties. So all of this effort, the security, the policies show that Mr. Krabs is treating this like a legally binding trade secret. And according to US law, theft of trade secrets is a federal crime. And the penalties are pretty stiff too. Anyone who's proven to have stolen trade secrets can be punished to a maximum of 10 years in federal prison, or being fined up to $5 million. And if you look back to the amount of times Plankton has been thrown in jail, it makes sense. He's been thrown in jail for trade secret espionage. Plankton is a repeat federal criminal. Mr. Krabs has done all of this in order to protect the secret Krabby Patty formula. He's not only programmed his employees or upped the stakes or made sure that everybody in Bikini Bottom is involved with the protection of the secret formula, but he has done so to keep his $1 million empire safe. And since SpongeBob is the only person that knows the secret formula, once he dies, the Krabby Patty empire will fall. But is that a coincidence? I think not. And if you like videos like this, make sure you follow us here and everywhere. And make sure you check out all the different links down below inside of the description while you're checking out the next video. Down there, you might find our original webtoon, our ARG series, and many more things that help out the channel. But I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.
Mommy Pig, I'm scared. Papa, there's no reason to be scared. Just stick with me. Oh, children, you have nothing to worry about.